Well, I wanted to begin this morning by maybe something a little unusual. Maybe it's something that you've never heard before. But there's a little song that I ran across, I don't know, decades ago by Kenny Rogers called The Baseball Song. And I don't know if you've noticed or not, but the title of the sermon this morning is What's the Measure of Success? And this song, in kind of a playful way, invites us to think about that perhaps in a different way, perhaps being able to see the value of rearranging how it is that we actually measure success. So I'm going to allow us the opportunity to just listen for this as kind of a preparation of what we're going to be talking about and being able to view the measure of success in a new way.
Little boy in a baseball hat stands in the field with his ball and bat. Says, I am the greatest player of them all. Puts his bat on his shoulder, tosses up his ball. The ball goes up and the ball comes down. Swings his bat all the way around. The world's so still you can hear the sound. The baseball falls to the ground. Now the little boy doesn't say a word. Picks up his ball. He is undeterred. Says, I am the greatest there has ever been. He grits his teeth and he tries it again. The ball goes up, the ball comes down. Swings his bat all the way around. The world's so still you can hear the sound. The baseball falls to the ground. He makes no excuses, he shows no fear. He just closes his eyes and listens to the cheers. Little boy, he adjusts his hand, picks up his ball, stares at his bat. Says, I am the greatest, the game is on the line. All one last time, and the ball goes up like the moon so bright, swings his bat with all his might. The world's as still can be. The baseball falls, and that's strike three. Now it's supper time. And his mama calls. Little boy starts home with his bat and ball. Says, I am the greatest. That is a fact. But even I didn't know I could pitch like that. Says, I am the greatest. That is understood. But even I didn't know pitch that good.
Okay. So there's many ways to define success. There's many ways for us to think about what it is that is an appropriate or an adequate measure of success. And I wanted us to explore this a little bit this morning because it has been my observation through my life that sometimes the things that I think define success turn out to be strangely thin. It just doesn't seem to be as important as it once was. And some of the things that I maybe overlooked when I was a younger person, raising a family and so on, I wish now maybe that I had measured success in different ways. And this is a critically important concept for us to think about and to maybe remind ourselves every once in a while. Now, you might be thinking right about this time, what in the world did that message, the text that I read a few minutes ago, what does that have to do with success? And I'm so glad you asked, because it is hidden in there, and I wanted to point this out. The story, if you will recall, is Jesus was in the synagogue and probably teaching there, and everybody left. And I don't know if that was like, it is today, where you go to church in the morning and then you go home for lunch, or, what was going on. But he went to the home of Simon's mother-in-law. And when he got there, after teaching in the synagogue, it came to light that Simon's mother-in-law was in bed sick with a fever. And so he went to her and lifted her up out of the bed, and the fever left her, and then I guess she could start serving them. Now, whether that meant she started the evening meal or the noon meal, I don't know. But she started to serve them. And before long, we find that word of the fact that Jesus was at this house and that Jesus had just healed this mother-in-law of a fever, boy, that spread like wildfire, because pretty soon this text says that the whole town was gathered outside of her gate. Now, Mark sometimes has a tendency to exaggerate a little bit, but I'm sure the crowd was big. It may not have been the whole town, but a big crowd had gathered outside her gate. And it said that Jesus began to see people, and he healed them of various diseases and this kind of thing. We don't have any idea how long into the night that went on. But my thinking is that maybe it went on for a while. Maybe well into the night. Maybe 10 o'clock, maybe 11 o'clock. It might have been midnight. We don't really know. What we do know, then, is that finally the crowd dispersed. Maybe Jesus got a chance to sleep for a few hours. But then again, first thing, early in the morning, before dawn, while it was still dark, he goes out and finds a secluded place where he can be by himself. And he wanted to meditate a little bit and pray a little bit and just be alone for a little while. And that's where we pick up the text, where it says that Simon and his companions hunted for him. And when they found him, they said to him, "Everybody is searching for you." Now, what the implication here is that last night was so much fun. I mean, we had a big old crowd. We had people that were being healed. We had stuff going on. It was just really neat, Jesus. You were the center of attention. You were getting all kinds of recognition and fame, and there was just a lot going on. And now in the morning, everybody is looking for you again, and we can go back into town, and we can have a big old crowd again, and you can have more fame and more recognition. You can be the center of attention once again. Let's go! And Jesus said, let's go on to the neighboring towns instead, so that I can proclaim the message there. Because that's what I came out to do. You see, if you read between the lines a little bit, you might get the idea that Simon and his companions and the disciples, they had one measure of success. And it was based in the crowds and based in the numbers, based in Jesus kind of being the center of attention. It was based in the hoopla of what was going on. And Jesus, I think, had a different idea. I think it's safe to say that success in ministry looked different to Jesus than it did to the disciples. Because Jesus wanted to just go on to the next town. He had had enough of the crowds. He had had enough of being the center of attention. He wasn't all about the fame and the recognition. He wanted to preach. I think it's interesting that Jesus and the disciples had different ways of viewing success. So what about us? What about us? How do we measure success? Are we still consumed with the numbers? You know, success and numbers always seem to go hand in hand. We always want to know what the numbers look like. You know, whether we're successful by earning a certain salary, that is reflected as a number, or whether we're successful by this number of square feet that is in our house. It's also a number. Maybe we measure success by the number of people that we supervise, or the number of people that are under us. Maybe, we measure success by the number that is the bottom line in our portfolio and how our investments are doing. We have all these numbers. But is that really how we want to measure success? Is that really what's important? Is that the example that Jesus left for us, to pay attention to the numbers and to get so, absorbed in the numbers that's what we end up pursuing? Because there's a lot of things that are measures of success that are hard to quantify. And sometimes, even if you do try to quantify those, they work against you. What I'm talking about are things like, integrity, or character, or, being honest, being, compassionate, showing love when it's, a good idea to show love, to resist becoming angry. All of those things, I think, can be measures of success, but they're hard to quantify. For example, character, I think, is a really good thing for us to talk about. Everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to be a person of good character. We want to be wise. We want to be honest. We want to have integrity. We want to be all of those things. And we could quantify that. We could say, okay, I'd like for you to rate my integrity on a scale of 1 to 10. But that really doesn't do anything. But that really asks another question. Or it raises another question, at least for me. And that is, then, what builds character? Well, as I look back at my life, the things that have been the greatest character-building episodes are those really big mistakes that I've made. And we learn from our mistakes, and the down times tend to build character more than the up times do. And so do we measure success by the number of mistakes that we've made? And the more mistakes, the better? The more mistakes, the more successful we are? You can begin to go in circles here. You can begin to wonder what it is. Often our, success sometimes is locked into these ideas of self-image, or, what other people think of us. That's not really a value either. I remember one time we were at a kind of an amusement park area, and they had these two mirrors. Maybe you've seen one like this, but one was kind of convex, went out like this. And when you stood in front of it, you were, short and kind of chubby, and the reflection was really. And then the other one was concave a little bit, and you stood in front of that one, you were tall and skinny, and it was just really nice. And I was thinking, I could stand here and look at that reflection all day, But we have these reflections of our own self, our own image in our minds, and sometimes what we think of ourselves isn't terribly flattering. There is a clue about how we are to measure success, I think, in the text that I read. And it's when Jesus answered the disciples, and I don't know if you caught this the first time that I read it, but he said, let's go to the neighboring towns so that I may proclaim the message there also. For that is what I came to do. Now there is a level of self-awareness there that is revealed in that text. And one of the things sometimes that I like to do when something like that jumps out at me is I will look and see all of the different translations. And I'll look it up maybe in 10 or 15 different translations and see how other people translate what that is. And some of those translations sometimes are enlightening, because one of the translations said, they had Jesus say, "That's why I'm here." And another one said, "That's what I'm meant to do." And the third one said, "That's who I am." I think the lesson here for us is that if we can identify who we are called to be, who we are meant to live into. What kind of person, what sort of ideal do we set up for ourselves as far as our spiritual identity? Who are we as spiritual beings? If we can identify who we are spiritually and move toward that, then I think that's the greatest measure of success that we can ever attain. And at the very basic bottom line level of all of that, I think it's safe to say that we are all children of God. And we are all loved by God. And part of living into that being, part of living into that calling of being a child of God, means that we share the love of God. It means that we express gratitude to our Creator. Even gratitude for those times when we are really building character, if you know what I mean. Do we spend time in spiritual disciplines? Are we kind in our relationships? These are measures of success that are hard to quantify. But these are the measures of success that I think really matter. As our hymn of preparation said when we sang, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God," you could translate that and say, "Seek ye first the things of God, the things that move us closer to being identified as children of God. And as we seek those things, all of the measures of success will be added to you in all of the ways that really matter." And that, of course, is food for thought.